Good to see you, Killer, man. It's all good. It's all good. And man, y'all know we got a special guest in the building, man. Our brother from another mother, man. Y'all already know Dr. Larry Payton, man.
The
The
doctor.
doctor, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, we definitely happy to have you in the building today, man. Some real groovy vibes going on. You know what I'm saying? And hey, it's good news in Texans land, man. It's we at that point of the year where, man, boy, we gonna be scratching and scraping and a whole lot of scraps. And you know what I'm saying, trying to bring y'all some news out there. It kind of gets a little slow around this time, but if you are a real fan, this is actually a time where you get to kind of like deep dive into the team. And you know what I'm saying, we touch on topics that are mostly not touched on, but we definitely gonna touch on some things, pause, as far as Texas news and different stuff that we've heard. um Definitely want to start with Will Anderson. Now hold on, first off, let me ask my guys, how y'all doing, man?
No, I'm doing wonderful today, man. Blessed to be alive. Blessed to be 53 years old, still doing my thing, kicking, man. So just blessed to be here, brothers.
Yes, sir.
It's all
Most definitely.
good. Thank you too, and Patton for inviting me. I appreciate y'all, and can't wait to talk more Texans. That's what we do.
As a matter of fact, man, we were talking in the chat group about the Will Anderson situation. And what we mean by that situation is he had did an interview, and it's starting to really pick up heat. About his contract extension, and the type of year that he's going to have this year. Like, I think this is going to be the biggest year of his career. I'm thinking college or pro, because this is where you put up a shut up. We've seen kind of what happened with Green Yard, where if you out there playing and you continue to get injured or missing a certain amount of games a year, um, it tends to leak into your contract talks and kind of can affect your contract. And I think this year, man, we need to see a full 17 games out of Will. I just think that I think we're gonna see it. I think this year, man, we're gonna see something. And my main thing that I want to touch on is how important it is to sign Will Anderson. What Will means to the locker room, what he means to the Texans locker room, that whole swarm, that whole just like, I remember when Will Anderson was in Alabama, and this was the time where, 2 years before he came out, and they would always talk about Will, and I didn't see it, to be honest with y'all. I didn't see what everybody was talking about, because we seen the Mario Williams and the J.J. Watts and the Jadeveon Clowneys of the world, um, and I just didn't think that Will, like, as good as a player as he was, I didn't think he fit that mold. I actually, when I heard people talking about, hey man, you remember, this is when they were saying like, we might not even get a quarterback, we might just go with Will Anderson as our as the first pick, as number 2 in the draft. And I was a little nervous about that. I was like, man, if we pick Will, I don't see him being that successor to JJ Watt. I just didn't see that at that time. But I promise y'all, he has totally changed my mind. Um, what he brings on the field is just as invaluable as what he brings in that locker room, man. I just really just see a big year coming from him. Um, as far as they go, like, what do y'all see? What do y'all see coming from Will? What's next for Will Anderson this year?
I agree with that, man. And let me say this before we start, man. Larry was on the show with us. I think we was in a chat or we was talking, and Larry made the correlation to this show as like the ghetto boys, like
Yeah.
just hitting you at every different angles, making you think. So, I look at it like, barbershop talk, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna jump in first on a lot of topics because Man, Larry is so well versed in knowledge. Like he get to talking and make you forget about what the hell you was about to say because you got so intertwined in his thoughts, and you be
Mhm.
like, yeah, and you start talking about what he was talking about. You look at your pen like, damn, he just totally threw me off. So it's gonna be barbershop talk, and it ain't gonna be no real order. But I'm gonna hit this one first, man. What will means to the locker room? Uh, Nick Casario had a pretty good plan. And when he tore this thing down, like I truly believe the first 2 years really wasn't about winning. It was about sustainability to get all those contracts, worked out, getting money under the cap. He was able to do a lot of that stuff by really just staying afloat the first 2 years because you had people saying that it was going to take 5 to 7 years. We seen organizations like the Cleveland Browns struggle so long to just get a competent 1 year and then go back in the gutter.
Mhm.
We had some very bad times. And that third year when we was getting the Deshaun first assets from that trade, having money to spend,
Mhm.
he brought in, which was risky, but it worked. He brought in a first time head coach in D'Amico. Check.
Mhm.
Allowed D'Amico to bring in Bobby Slowick. X. But also was able to go get two young guys, early 20s, to establish a culture that he listened to D'Amico. Cal McNair, Hannah McNair, they love football. They love the Texans, but they're not football people. And so you can interview D'Amico, and I don't even know if D'Amico was Casario first pick, but for the fact that he chosen, it's on his resume and it'll never change. But for them to entrust that locker room with two young guys, and they were going to be the youngest in that locker room, and it's to have a coach to establish the swarm mentality. So the constitution was written on what they want to accomplish, and then have CJ on the offense and Will on the defense. And I think Will voice carries a lot of weight in that room, and he's still learning. He still talk about, he speaks so highly of Hunter. It's like, man, I just listen to him because he's so smart, but I don't try to do what he do because dude is a freak of nature.
Mhm.
But that locker room is that's his, man. And every time you see him, he's smiling, he's happy, like. And D'Amico constantly say, I want guys who love football. And you
Mhm.
could just kind of tell without even meeting him, his personality. You could tell he loves football. So I'm a I'm a pause on that one and just say that him he's very important to that locker room. And I pass the baton to old Doc.
Oh, appreciate it, Cal. A lot of good stuff there. I want to circle back to what Nitty said about Will Anderson in college. I saw him as a great All American, tough, physical football player that you couldn't go wrong with drafting. But I did not see him as a game changer, as an elite edge rusher. I don't think he's that yet, but all of the intangibles that he brings gives him the ability to be a great football player because of his passion, his commitment to football. I'll tell a little story about one of my homeboys that was a football player at SFA in the 90s. Um, I'm not going to say his name, but this brother slept, ate, everything was about football. Every time you see him, you go up to him instead of giving him the bro dap, he was giving you a swim move or rip
Hmm.
and shut.
Mhm.
And I
Hmm.
see Will Anderson is the same kind of dude. He can't do anything without incorporating football into it. So I would hate to be around the fella because he probably tackling people all the time, swim moving, ripping their chains and shirts as he walking up to them. Just that kind of intensity. And I do think he is the leader in the clubhouse, like Cal said. Now on the field, he has those intangibles that are usually reserved to our Caucasian football players. That the motor that
Mhm.
uh, he has a motor and plays to the whistle. Um, Will Anderson is that he's never given up on a play. And so I think he has the ability to continue to grow and to continue to uh, get better. And I love that he is working with great players in the off season, like Miles Garrett, license to uh, learn from them, pick their brain, continue to try to be great.
Mhm. Yep, and
Hmm.
I that's what I was saying. To that point earlier, what I was saying that yeah, he like we know he still has a way to go, but it was just always like he surpassed. Like I thought really on the cool, which I didn't think that was a it was worth to be the number 3 pick, but I knew well at that time I felt like they were drafting him for how he could be in a locker room because they talked about how he was at Alabama, and so I'm like, man, I don't know if we should waste a pick just on a guy, but I didn't know how important that was. But I do want to say this: Will has surprised me because I didn't ever think that he'd be a double digit sack dude. Like you couldn't have told me that at Alabama that hey, this dude's gonna come to the NFL because his what's weird about it, his physique didn't even look like it. It's like it seemed like when he came to the league, he actually grew more into his body, I would say. But it just didn't seem like Will was that dude. It looked like he was gonna be crazy in the run because you can always tell and see his effort. But him as actually being the player that he is, bookend of Hunter, I just think that they are a real strong tandem, and I think that he's going to deserve the pay that they're going to give him. And speaking on that, right? We know that right now coming in, um, that the Texans are going to have to pay Will Anderson probably next year and CJ probably next year. I got scared a little bit when Brock Purdy got paid because I thought that it would make the Texans pull the trigger early. Didn't y'all think that?
Uh,
No, they
We
actually
don't
have
have
to
no
wait.
money. I'm like, where they gonna get it from? I'm like, because they was like, hey, well, this is the time that where you can get a deal because I've heard that Brock Purdy deal is looked at as a steal, and it didn't put him as the highest paid quarterback in the league. I think it put him maybe
Top six, but
about 6. But yeah, but you know they were like, okay, if you pay CJ now, then that would actually be a steal at that price for him too. But if you wait, you have to pay more. But where we get the money from? That's my thing. I'm like, bro, we already tapped out on paying these different contracts. I know that y'all had put something in the chat earlier about the Nick Chubb situation, and
yeah, that's right in my wheelhouse, Nitty. Let me speak on the pay. The Texans have plenty of money.
mm,
We have billionaire owners that don't mind spending the cash. The salary cap is one that can be manipulated to the 12th hour. And so, whenever the time comes for Will and CJ, especially to get paid, they will get paid with no problems.
oh,
There
okay,
is
okay,
there is no problem paying those guys whatever the market calls for. The teams that are some of the, I'm not going to call them poorer, but some of the less rich ownership groups like
hmm
Cincinnati and the Raiders and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their teams have no problem paying their players. And as far as salary cap goes, they can adjust the cap as they go. Just see the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints who do it every year.
hmm Yeah, because I was just a little worried out like that, but that makes a lot of sense. Like you say, when you have certain teams with certain type of capital, they able to make those moves, and I just think it's gonna be crazy, right? Like I try to think of another team that's in the league that's in a situation kind of like the Texans are gonna be in, and I would say maybe Cleveland. Cleveland, when you look at Cleveland, you got Miles Garrett has a gigantic contract. You have, of course, Deshaun Watson's contract. You have Denzel Ward's contract. I don't know if
You
that's
got
it. No,
yeah, their
the tight
offensive
end,
line.
yeah, the tight end has they have a few offensive linemen that's in the top echelon of payments.
Yeah,
They got a lot of they
they
pay a lot
pay
of money. They pay a lot of money, and I just think the Texans. I guess if that's what you have to be, what you have to do to be a good team. I think Philadelphia kind of has the same problem too. I think they got two wide receivers that they pay like it's in the top 10 of wide receiver payment. So yeah, it's definitely possible. It just makes me nervous a little bit because man, one thing that we hardly ever get to talk about, right, which is probably a good subject to bring up, is the future and players that we could possibly lose. You know what I'm saying? And when you think of being on the brink of losing a player, and I'm not saying losing a player to bad play, but I'm saying losing a player to like contract issues. Is it anybody that's on the Texans roster that you would say that in the near future we're probably gonna lose because of money?
We already lost him. Laramie Tunsil.
Yep. Yep. So you
We
really think it
just
was more about the money, Larry, than what they were saying about the culture of the offensive line? You think it was more of a money thing, or do you think it was just
I
potato
think they could
potatoes, both of them?
I think they could have kept him if they really needed to, but because of the culture and the other things, knowing that he was coming up in another contract year, that they would
Mhm.
need to pay him again, that it made it easier to get some value for him at this point.
I heard
Uh,
Washington drafted his replacement because of his future replacement. Like he's going to play there this year, but they drafted his replacement because of like early negotiation contract talks, and they was like they totally out of it. They not going to be able to be in it. He's trying to be
no,
paid too much.
he wouldn't have allowed the trade to go through if there wasn't a deal to come. You will see before the season start, Tunsil get a contract extension. That will be another 2 or 3 year deal with
Okay.
probably 50 or 60 million dollars guaranteed.
Okay, Brandon says Toa and Christian Harris. Speaking of Christian Harris, because we did talk about bringing up Christian Harris too. Um, it's a conundrum. It's an enigma when talking about him because he we see one moment that they not putting him on none of the promo stuff and all of that, and the next thing you know, the last promo they put out, he's on there. You know what I'm saying? And so, my bad. It makes you think like, what are they doing? Like, is he a part of the team or isn't he? Um, do I want him to be a part of the team? And the answer to that would be a resounding hell yes. Like, I definitely want to see him be a part of the team and be a important part of the team, which means that this will be a contract year for him too, right, Killer?
Yeah, this is probably going to be his most important year. Injuries allow Henry to, put a lot of action on film. Like Brandon said, and Harris. Christian Harris, like me personally, man, my opinion, of course, is always my opinion. If I'm about to say it, of course, it's your opinion. My opinion is Christian Harris is our best raw linebacker. Like I think he's the best. Now, the best he haven't reached his full potential. He's still a player that's growing. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as like skill, size, ability, you know, in my opinion, I think he's the best linebacker. Now, Aziz is the most seasoned linebacker. He has way more experience. But I love the way Christian Harris play ball. And this can be one of those years that Christian Harris, and going back to your original question, and Brandon hit on it. If Christian Harris has a Fred Warner type year, just outstanding, just teetering on all pro status, making Pro Bowls, the Texans gonna look at that contract and say, well, we do have Henry here, and we saw what he was able to do when he got an opportunity. That's one of the guys that they can say, you know what, we'll take a gamble and let him walk. Or they can just say, well, we'll just go ahead and because I think this may be Aziz last year contractually. I don't know if he have this year or another year remaining.
Mm-hmm.
How many
No,
more years?
he had a 3-year deal, so he got 2 more.
Yeah, two more.
Normally, that last year's isn't that a team option to get out, and you won't have to eat so much of that contract.
It's all
But
his team option every year.
yeah, we are exactly. But Henry's shown enough on tape that because he's a young player. Now the flip side is Henry going on into his third year. After that third year, they're eligible for. Isn't that after the third year they're eligible for a contract extension?
Yes.
Okay, so this is you're looking at two guys that are really like fighting, like training camp for linebackers. That's going to be one of those must see because you still got EJ Speed, which is not a slouch either.
Mm-hmm.
He signed a team friendly deal, 1 year, 5 million, I think up to 8.5 in incentives. He ain't coming here just to watch football. He's coming here to play. So,
Oh
man,
yeah,
that's
everybody
he.
better be on point.
Yeah,
When you in such a tight competition like that, you have to be on point. And you don't tie your shoes right one day, somebody's gonna gain. Somebody gonna get the upper hand on you. So you have to be point. So no matter what happens, and that's what's good about competition. Like if you can have a tight competition, then that means hey, everybody. It's like playing musical chairs. When they pull that one chair out in there, it's three people walking around two chairs. Everybody waiting for their music to stop. You know what I'm saying? It's hey, you better hope you in position. You know what I'm saying? So I think, man, it's gonna be competition at linebacker is gonna be crazy. The O line, which we already know. Those are the main competitions. I can't really think of what long snapper, punt. Punt. I know it's gonna be a competition at punt, but I think Tommy gets that one though. But I heard they brought in a pretty good somebody that they say is probably gonna be a camp body. But other than that, though, man, as far as
Well,
the what you
if
about to
I
say,
if I
Doc?
if I can add on to this point is that it is a good question because you cannot keep everyone. I know I said the salary cap is flexible and you can make moves, but you can't keep everyone as you build a championship roster. But we are starting to see what D'Amico and Nick's plan is for keeping folks. So you can see on the defense how they quickly and in a hurry and rightfully so extended Derek Stingley Jr. And
Yeah.
then shortly after extended Daniil Hunter and then Jalen Petrie. So those guys in a short order show that they're important to this defense and need to be here for the next 3 years of this championship run.
Mm-hmm.
So Christian Harris, especially, has not been healthy enough to show that he deserves to be part of this championship run, nor does he deserve a contract extension. So the points you all made about it's a big year for them. Yes, he got if he want to get paid here, he needs to stay healthy and get back into the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But with his skill set and talent, somebody else probably will pay him. Maybe not as much as he would want, but he'll get
That's
paid.
the trivial part about it because it's like I think the last person I paid attention to that we lost that really kind of stung me was I would have to say between Bouye and Justin Reed. And I be trying to see if it's writing on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know what happened with Justin Reed. It was a Bill O'Brien thing, right? No,
It was
hold up. Was it
Cully,
who was it where he actually got in trouble? He actually had got in trouble at a team meeting or something like that. Who was the coach at the
David
time?
Cully.
Oh, it was Cully, right? So
Yeah,
you know
David Cully.
they were saying that even before the end of the year that it was possible that he wasn't coming back, and he ended up not coming back. And he was the last person that, now I know we lost some other players since then, but he was the last one that kind of was like, man, I didn't really want to lose him like that. So I thought it was a cool question because I'm like, who is it in the near future who we may see? And like, honestly, it could be like what we said. I see it, and it probably will hurt just as bad as the Bouye situation, but I think it'll be Christian Harris, man. I think that you know, he may have allowed for Toa to really get his feet in, and he's really, and I guess that's a good thing for the team because Christian Harris is really, I don't think it's gonna be handed to him. He gonna really have to play his butt off to really get back to that situation because I think D'Amico showed him last year by benching him, not really benching him, but him seeing limited snaps in the Kansas City game and even in that last game, the last regular season game, it just was not the same what we seen with Christian Harris. But you know, it just seems like he's an outsider looking in. So I guess that's probably why I'm saying what I'm saying. But
Another thing too is the perfect timing is we reworked Daniil Hunter's contract. So he's going to be here, I think, for contractually, I think it's going to be what, three more. I mean, this
two
year
more,
plus.
yeah, this year plus next year. He was actually this year was going to be his last if he didn't do that extension.
Right. He
Oh,
started with a 2-year deal and then he got a 2-year extension. So um, a total of 3.
Hmm.
okay. So that contract really it balanced it out. I see what Casario's doing because once Will is signed, it doesn't automatically hit the books that year.
Yeah, that's how
This,
I'm noticing that they do that.
this gives the Texans a 2-year window, 2 off season, 2 drafts to go and look for Daniil's replacement with the notion that Anderson is going to hit the books. So that's another one you have to look at. Lassiter, if he keep playing the way that he's playing, he's going to earn a pretty good contract. That's going to be a very expensive secondary because I know CJGJ, his agent, is looking for a home because dude have moved around quite a bit. Uh,
Yeah,
man,
he's got nice money already. He's
mhm.
making 7 to 9 million, I believe. But
This is
um,
definitely a contract year for him too, like
that
so to speak.
is a player that I spoke about in our last show that I'm not that high on. But I do think it's a mistake if Casario pays him before he needs to. Casario has done some nice things acquiring players like Diggs and um, even with CJ
That
and
Diggs
Joe
deal is
Mixon
still confusing to me though, man. Like,
and Joe Mixon, but
mhm.
signing and tearing up their contract, giving the player all the leverage, that's not typically what you see out of a championship team. So I just point to that one player. If he does an extension before he even plays, that's Casario making a mistake, in my opinion. Need to keep that team
Exactly.
leverage.
Yeah, you need to. And you talking about CJGJ, right?
Correct.
Yeah, CJGJ to me, when I look at him, I'm glad that we have him. He was fantastic for the Eagles and Detroit. Seems like he's one of those type of players. Like you ever notice that it's a player that just has something tagged like Deion Sanders had it. I'm not comparing. I'm not out there, y'all, comparing him to Deion Sanders.
Hey, smart football minds know that when you bring up similarities to a player,
Yeah,
smart football minds know what you're talking about.
exactly.
And
What I mean
and
is that
right,
Deion had that Super Bowl tag on him to where teams he went to, they
yeah.
tend to end up in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? And
Well, and actually, you can find him on that field contributing. That's what I
yeah,
love, man.
exactly. And it's like CJ he actually has that luck. I guess you can call it a luck charm. He actually, just because he's on your team, like Detroit has never been to a championship game. They went to the championship game with CJ on their team.
Good point.
Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl. The next year they didn't go to the Super Bowl because CJ was in Detroit, almost about to take them to the Super Bowl. He ends up going back to Philly. Philly ends up back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So with a player with that type of cachet and that resume written, his voice carries a lot of bass in that locker room because
Mhm.
he could look around that locker room and he could say one thing to those guys and he wouldn't be lying. But if it came out of his mouth, if he said, "Look, man, I'm looking around this room and this is the best defense I've been on," or he could say,
Oh,
"By
he
far,
gonna set
we're
them boys hair on fire if he say that.
this secondary, we're first, and I don't even think it's a close second. If we play up to our potential, guys, I've seen it. I mean, listen to me. I've been there. I know what I'm looking at when I see this. If he tell those guys that that's all the confidence, it's not that they lack confidence, but he can look at Lassiter in the eye and say, "Hey man, you got it." He can look at Kalen Bullock and say, "Hey, young man, stick close to me because hey, we gonna have this back end, sewed up."
Mhm.
He can bring that's what he brings into that locker room. And as long as he's healthy, which he's been pretty healthy, hopefully he stay healthy. That's one of the guys that I think that you're gonna look up, man, and it's gonna be game 11. He gonna already have like 7 interceptions. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you look at all of our players in the secondary, you just look at their last year stats. That's what makes this secondary scary as hell, bro. Like on the cool. Hold on, where my scary button at? Because bro, think about it, right? Everybody had over. I can honestly say everybody had over 4 interceptions. Everybody, like at the least, had 4 interceptions in our secondary last year. Everybody. That's crazy. That's crazy to be able to say that from every position, from corner to corner, from safety to safety. And we even seen, Petrie was getting his hands on some balls. We seen Murray able to get his hands on some balls. Man, it's gonna be crazy to play Murray this year over there with them Jaguars, man. It's gonna be crazy. And speaking about losing players, I don't think none of us lost a wink of sleep, man, once we saw that Murray had signed over there with the Jaguars, man. But I will say this though. My guy he was improving. He was almost one of the most improved players on the Texans defense last year. Dare I say that?
I could say he's a survivor because he survived 3 Texans regimes.
I don't know how he did it.
Oh, is it 4? Did Bill
I
O'Brien bring him in?
bro, bro had
Yeah,
some kind of magical dust, bro. Because how was he able to do that? Yeah, Bill O'Brien brought him in. He stayed here for Cully. He went through Lovey and D'Amico, bro. I was
yeah,
like,
two,
that's
two, 2 years of D'Amico. And here's the thing that guys that that really don't pop out on the film, uh, that we don't see, we're not in practice, we don't know their intellect or whatever. It's a lot of things we don't see.
mm-hmm.
If one player was brought in by a guy that's been removed years and he comes into another regime, whether you like Cully or not, Cully still had Lovey as a defensive coordinator. Then Lovey comes in as a head coach and then survived 2 years of D'Amico. I think those guys know enough football more football than we'll probably ever know. And if that guy survived 4 regimes, he can play football.
I
Now
mean,
he might not be the
he got
best, but he does enough to make the 53-man roster, and that says a lot.
he did more than Lonnie Johnson. I got to give
Yeah,
him his respect right there, just on that. I mean, Lonnie Johnson was brought back to the team, and they pretty much played the same position. But Eric Murray was Eric Murray was just one of those guys that you just could not get him off the field. No matter how, other players might want to say this or that. And but bro was a utility guy. He always did what he needed to do, and that's what I think. I think he was more fundamentally sound, and that's what kept him on the field. It was like, hey, he's gonna do his job and nothing but his job. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it's just gonna be a little weird seeing him over there with the Jaguars. I know he's gonna probably go over there and talk, you know, give out a little our defensive stuff here and there, but it's all good. I don't think he can. I think it's gonna change. Speaking of our defense, right? I want to bring up something real quick because I was earlier today. I seen a post where they were talking about. I think they were talking about the top 10 defensive coordinators in the league. And for some reason, naturally, right, I started looking on the list and I started looking for D'Amico. And I didn't see D'Amico's name, so I went to the top again and started scrolling down again. And I'm like, what the hell? I don't see D'Amico. And so my next thing was look at the team logos. Because they had the names and the logos beside it. So I looked at the team logos and I scrolled and I see the Texans and I look and I see Matt Burke, right? Y'all already know what I'm about to say. Like, how Matt Burke has got to be having the most Cadillac job in the world. Because I mean, is there any people that really believe like he's the Texans defensive coordinator?
well, it's happening all around the league. I mean, who is Kyle Shanahan's OC? Who is who's calling the
Exactly.
plays? Who's the OC for McVay? Um, uh, D'Amico's a
Is
great
that what Nick was? Is that
Nick.
what
Yeah,
Nick was supposed to be?
he
He
was
was
a
the
great.
OC? Okay.
No, somebody else was the OC. He was Nick Cayley was the running game coordinator,
Oh,
or
okay.
maybe passing game coordinator. One of the coordinators under the OC. They have an OC by title, and Cayley was underneath that gentleman.
Yeah, Matt Burke is like I say, um he's got the easiest job. I would love to have Matt Burke's job because you literally just you just a name. You know what I'm saying? He he got to be doing something. I just don't know what it is myself. But yeah, like I said, it's got to be pretty much got to be pretty Cadillac.
Yeah,
Is it
who's
any?
the OC for Andy Reid with the Chiefs right now?
Definitely ain't Eric Bieniemy. I seen a clip of Eric Bieniemy. As a matter of fact, I think he's the running backs coach with where is he right now?
There,
The Bears, yeah. And somebody hit a cone. I forgot who it was that hit the cone, and I'm talking about Bieniemy went the hell off. He was like, "Look," and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but people was like, he's an old school type of coach. Mike Singletary type, I guess, and I guess Mike Singletary kind of messed it up for anybody after him who want to try to coach in that kind of manner. But other than that, though, man, is it any other news as far as that you'd have came across, especially you, Killer Cal? I know you come across a lot of stuff, man. Is it anything that you came across that's newsworthy?
Texas news wise, it's been pretty dry, man. This is the time of the year that people are, searching for content, searching for stories, digging up old stories. There's nothing really new floating across the wire. That's why when and these two topics, Will Anderson and Christian Harris, uh, as in movies they roll the screen, they roll the credits down, and
Mm-hmm.
the executive producer, those two ideas came from Dr. Payton.
Oh yeah,
These
definitely.
are so
He's
we got to give him
he's
that credit. But see, when you're talking sports, like I said, barbershop talk, you don't go in there with a script. You just go in and you just freestyle. So,
Mm-hmm.
when you get into that freestyle cipher and somebody say, "Hey, let's go," and somebody get to rapping about something, it's like, okay, that's where you going. Then, bam, I'm gonna bounce on that one too. So like no important news have come up, but I know we wanted to kind of like freestyle on some stack predictions and some interception predictions. We're
Mm.
not gonna go through the whole entire secondary, but we just gonna hit like we can hit Will and Daniil, and we can hit, I can hit two in the secondary, y'all can hit two, we can hit two, we can hit two of the same. We can cross reference our predictions. So as far as the news, man, it's dry out there. It's probably not gonna pick up until I would say like second week of June or something like that, first week of June.
That's
Stuff
when
gonna
have
start to
mini
bubble
camp.
over.
We
Yeah, they
that'll be
start
mini camp.
reporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, like what you got, even just like I say, all over Twitter, you got season predictions, which we did that. Uh we as far as like you say, as far as predictions, as far as sacks go, I think didn't we break the sack record last year as a team, as a total?
I don't think so.
Oh
Um,
no, I thought I heard somebody say that we did. Like we actually broke the record last year. I really think we did. I don't if it wasn't
I
last
guess
year,
it
was
would
the
have
years
been.
before last.
I guess it
Mm,
would have been one of them Wade Phillips defense, the 2011. But I'm just going off the top of the head.
Yeah,
Let me let me look it up real quick.
okay.
yeah, but why you doing that? I just think that we did. Let me see. Maybe they meant our O line. Okay, Brandon said Case Keenum, Ben Johnson combo. He said we got to bring back Case as an advisor next year. Hey, Case is quiet as kept, man. Case is he's gonna gain a lot of knowledge over there.
Where did he go? I forget.
He's Chicago. He's over there with Ben Johnson.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, so
According
he's
to Google, Frank, you were right. It says the Texans set a single season sack record for 46 in 2023.
exactly, and so that was year before last that we set that record.
Right.
So
Hmm.
last year, how many did we have as a total?
I was
'Cause,
trying to
man,
look that up earlier. I couldn't find it.
I really think they have a chance to do it again. Well, to go even higher this year. A lot of man. I just think that it's just gonna be crazy, man. It's just gonna be so crazy. That defensive line, and this year, which we already know that players who play on contract years, we tend to get the best out of them. And even though it's not an official contract year for Will Anderson or CJ, I think it's kind
Mm,
of hypothetically it is for both of them. For both of them, I think both of them have to have certain type of years this year to make their contract talks be more smoother, where it's like, oh, we know what you're gonna bring. You know what I'm saying? Like CJ has a bad year this year, doesn't mean he's not gonna sign a big contract, but that's gonna play into the decision making of how much this contract is gonna be. You definitely don't want to get caught up in a Trevor Lawrence situation where you have to pay this person because of said of what their potential is supposed to be. I feel like he got paid by what they said in the preseason before he got drafted about him being the next John Elway and stuff like that. He's still getting paid by that. Let's say
yeah.
last year was the first year Texans had the longest rusher of the year. All the other AFC South teams had been on the list a couple of times since 2000. Damian Pierce was the first one to get us on it. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Before we go too far, I do want to get into Will Anderson a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm. I was gonna do that as well.
we
Go ahead.
talked about We talked about him getting paid. I think there's no doubt that Will Anderson is going to remain a Texan, uh, at least for the next contract. Um, that is no doubt about that. Whether you pay him early or before CJ, that's all about the timing and what his camp and agent wants to get done. But I
Hmm.
see him getting a new contract with no problem. But I did want to speak to his pass rush moves. I think this dude is a really great defensive player with limited pass rush moves.
Hmm.
When I watch him play, I see bull rush all the time. He does have good violent hands, and uh, um, I should say, he has improved by attacking either the inside or outside shoulder of the tackles here in 2024. But I would hope that working with Miles Garrett and Daniil Hunter would create at least one more move going into this year, whether it's a spin move or a Euro step or uh, the Southside shimmy or something
Something.
uh, to take his game to the next level.
Is that easy though? Like, Doc, do you feel like this? Like it's just easy to do that? Because the reason I bring it up, right, is because we hear so many players say like, hey, I'm going into the off season and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna work on this, and they come back and it's like, hey, you still playing like the same player, like maybe, and I always chalked it up to them being out of position or them trying things like, say if there's a defensive end that wants to try to do the White Frame spin move, but he does it and he spins and falls on his ass, like does that cost him his job? You know what I'm saying? Do you not play like football is such a game of inches that you don't try things out there that you're not good at. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna
That's an
always be forced
excellent question.
to
Excellent
do.
question.
Yeah, you're always gonna be forced to do what you are supposed to do. Do other players sometimes be like, okay, at home by myself, I've been working on this badass move in front of
Mhm.
80,000 people. I'm gonna try this shit out. Like,
Yes,
does that
I don't.
happen?
I don't think it's easy because sacks don't come easily.
Hmm.
Uh, Will Anderson is limited. I would say that his natural body type is a more stiff athlete, not a quick twitch athlete.
Hmm.
So power is going to be his go-to. But I'm pushing him just like I push all the great players as a fan, like CJ. For example, CJ to be working on how to throw the fade route. That's what he need to improve. He need to be getting the ball out quick. He need to learn how to throw the fade, especially now he got another 6'4" receiver. That's something that has not been in his game. So I want Will Anderson. Just give me one new move. Uh, I think the move that he likes is, I think you call it the long arm pause.
Hmm.
But he also give me a chop or arm over or a swim move, or he's so strong he probably could incorporate the Reggie White hump move. Something.
Exactly. It's just that most of the time, like when I see Will play, right, you see him. It's effective what he does. I mean, guy had double digit sacks last year, so it's effective what he does. It's just almost like you say, it looks like the same move all the time, but sometimes it's quicker than other times. You know what I'm saying? And that's how he wins. Sometimes I guess sometimes he gets off a little quicker on this one, but I'm pretty sure the offensive lineman is like, this is just going to be a battle of straight up, not me wondering about what move is he gonna do, but just straight got to deal with this man's power. Like he's just gonna literally try to just get you out of there.
Yeah, and I think he's a smart player. I did see him do some things that I didn't know he was capable of. For example, when they played Denver, was that last year? Maybe the year before. He was setting McGinchey, which is a real tall tackle up. He's like 6'7", 6'8". He was
Mm-hmm.
setting him up outside the whole game with a speed and bull rush, and then he had success against him by coming inside, which is not a pass rush move that I'm talking about, but he's using some intelligence to set that up.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think he has the ability to take his game to another level, and as hard as he works, I don't think it should be that difficult to add one more move that you can put out there.
As a matter of fact, and I want to let you speak on this one, Killer, first. There's a player that we forgot to speak on when we were doing the position groups and stuff like that. But we didn't talk about that guy from Chicago. I think his last name's Taylor. What's his first name?
Yeah,
Was it
Darrell
was it
Taylor.
yeah, the real Taylor? Yeah.
Okay. How do y'all? What kind of do y'all think he makes an impact on this defense? Do y'all think that what he brought to the Bears, does it translate to the Texans defense? Because if it does, that's another scary element also.
It's one of those things that D'Amico rotate his guys, and well, mainly the defensive tackles. Those
Is he
edge
stand
rushers.
up or hands on the ground, Killer?
Um,
Yeah, he's a
from,
2-point rusher, maybe a
mhm,
3-point stand.
yeah. A lot of times I've seen him in 2 point standing up. It's one of those things that to get a player to get a breath or two in a series or something like that. 1 or 2 plays. Like you don't want if you can avoid it, you don't want your either one of your pass rushers playing 100% of the snaps.
Mhm.
Uh, Regardless of what everybody say, anybody that ever played any sport at any level, nobody goes 100%, 100% of the time. It is physically impossible. So that he's like more of a rotational guy, but when you think about this defense and guys that we've brought in free agency, and I speak to the defensive tackles, when they get that opportunity, they make the best of it. So that's just one of those things. I don't care if he get 5 or 6 snaps a game. Make something show up. I give you a prime example, and I'm bad on names, but the defensive end that we got from Philadelphia, he's been with
Oh,
us going
Barnett.
on.
Eric Barnett.
Barnett.
Barnett flashed on the screen all last year. I mean, just limited play. I'm talking about fumble returns and sack strips, everything. Like when your time is called, you know, you have to like show what you can do.
Yeah, if there was
Uh,
a poster boy, if anybody was a poster boy for that last year, what you saying, it's definitely Derek Barnett. He took advantage of every opportunity he had, bro. I'm talking about every
mhm,
time. And it's almost like, bro, I look back on that time when he was running that ball back, that the fumble return. He had 2 of them, but there was one where he literally was just pushing his own teammates out the way. Like he was like, "Hey,
yeah,
y'all, get out the way! I'm
he was
trying to get this
determined,
ball
man.
in the end zone." And I'm like, Derek Barnett is a dog. Like I don't know, like you say, he might not just have that motor that Doc talked about earlier about Will Anderson having, but maybe that's why he's not that player, that premium player that he can be. But when he's on that field, bro is taking advantage of every time he's on that field, bro.
Yeah, let me double back on something right quick, man. These are when when we was in a pre-production and I started writing down some things, and it ties in to, will Anderson have another move next year? The advantages of today's technology is there's so much film out there that you can self-educate yourself. There's so much money that these players make that they can go to facilities, they can hire special, defensive line coaches, and then y'all pointed out working with a guy like Miles Garrett. So the resources that these guys have, And every time that they step out on the field in practice, off season, they can film every single thing and go back and watch it themselves, slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a student at a game and you watching Miles Garrett, it's like, damn, I like the way he do that. But damn, why I can't do that? And then Doc said something about, the stiffness of his hips and his bend. He doesn't have that around the edge bend that he just low gravity to the ground, come back up and keep his balance. Like that's that's something that like you have to take like a off season and several off season to work on Pilates, yoga, stretching. Like you really have to be
And
very, very nimble.
then on top of that, you would have had to have been somebody who had that naturally and learned to play like that. Because I feel like even if you go get Pilates, you're not used to doing it. You're not used to
But
bending like that. You know what I'm
but
saying?
see, but it ties in because if I'm a defensive tackle and I never did taekwondo, so the
Mm-hmm.
movement of the hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not born with those skills, but if I took Taekwondo year after year, then I know how to have violent hands because this is something that I practice all the time. I
Hey,
can
who was
see
the
your,
Texas player that said that they would train with Taekwondo? They was the first person I had ever heard say they did that.
I can't remember who it was.
He went to Philly. He played with us, but he went to Philly also. They used to say he looked like Kramer.
Corner ball.
Connor Baldwin,
Bar
man. There you go. I
Barwin.
knew somebody was gonna say, yeah, Baldwin was he did the what's the name? Remember, he didn't come into the league, but it was one off season. It was like what he was doing. He was like, I took Taekwondo and it actually worked. Like
Right.
that's the person I seen that actually said he did something in the off season and it actually
Hmm.
translated to the field. I was like, damn, like he really started getting more sacks because of that.
And let me
Yeah,
wrap it up with this one right quick.
Hall of Famer Charles Haley was the first one to really come out and
Oh,
talk about that.
sure
Now, what
was.
you were gonna say, Killer?
Let me wrap it up with this. Now we'll look at Will Anderson, and these are the I don't look at tackles for defensive linemen, but first year he had 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, and 22 QB hits.
Mm-hmm.
Last year he had 11 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, 19 QB hits. The two that I focus on is the tackles for loss, which that's getting into the backfield. That's being disruptive. That's, making your linemen have to work all 60 minutes. But that
Mm-hmm.
QB hit, that is a matter of getting there in a split second. And how you get there in a split second, working on different pass rush moves. I agree with Doc. Doc, he came into the league at 243. He's probably like 262 now. He has to incorporate several things, hand movements, like you said, Euro steps, spin moves. Like he gotta make that guy so uncomfortable with thinking that by the time the fourth quarter get here, Will Anderson has not used up all of his strength. Because regardless, a lineman will settle down and take on every one of your pass moves. And by the time the second quarter get here, I already know what you're gonna do. I don't give a damn if you JJ Watt. I already know what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna be able to combat that. We'll have to figure out certain moves because 11 sacks and 19 QB hits. If I took of those 19, if I took 7 of those and made those sacks, that's 18 sacks. That's the difference between having 11 and having 18. Finishing. And I'm telling you, these are the things that those players look at and they say, man, I was almost there, but almost don't get you that max contract.
Almost doesn't count. It's like
Yeah,
Brandon. It's like Brandon
he
say.
did a better job this year of finishing. His rookie year, he was missing 2 sacks a game because he let the quarterback just slip out his hands. But
Yeah.
he
Hmm.
finished on a much more consistent basis this year. I
Yeah,
want
Sure
I
to
think
did.
I think he gets better. I think we get he gets better. I didn't I definitely don't want to say what I normally like because if y'all notice if y'all watch the show enough, I'm real hard on players. Whenever they the coach speak or whenever people get to the microphone and they say, "Hey, in the off season, I'm gonna work." Like that's why I love Toa for what he did this off season, not this off season, but last off season. when they talked to him in minicamp last year, he said, "Hey, I've been working on such and such moves and tackling and this, that, and the other." Hit the field and you actually seen it. That's actually rare, y'all. I'm telling y'all, like a lot of players do a lot of talking, but they don't do the walking. Excuse me. They don't do the walking. So I'm looking forward to see Will, because we heard him say it last year and we hearing him say it again this year, and it's like I'm like I think he puts his money where his mouth is, and I think he improves. I think Will is going to be one of those players where this is where he was year one, he improved year two, and we're going to see an even better Will Anderson year three, and we're going to be able to see exactly what it is. I think all of us that'll be watching him will be looking for his moves. We'll be looking for his power rushes, his bull rushes, just to see how did he get better this off season. Because for some reason, I just believe in my heart that Will Anderson works. Like he's what that swarm mentality is, and like they say at the end, it's a relentless mindset. I definitely think that's what he is. So I see him getting better. I just wanted to point out the fact that it's don't take it just as when all these players start saying that they're going to be better. And the reason I'm saying it, because I want to give the props to the players that actually do. Like I said, Henry To'oTo'o said that he was going to be better, and bro was. And I appreciate that as a fan, and watching a player that get to the podium and says something and he actually represented. We'll say he gonna have some more pass rush moves. He said it on K Adams show. He said it on a few other shows. So hey, I don't think bro lying. So I think we're gonna see better Will Anderson. I think the one thing too, I just want to touch on this before we get out of here, is he said something about the whole fire and ice thing, right, with him and Hunter. And I just happen to believe that Hunter has a problem with it. Like, if you really think about it, I think that Hunter doesn't want to be called ice. I think he would rather be called fire too. I think they would rather just be called fire and fire or something. But I don't think Hunter looks at himself as ice though.
Hunter ice cold with the moves. You seen that Euro and the spin move.
Hey, yeah, I will say that, okay, he's ice cold with that, because Will kind of said, it's sometimes when I'm fired up, he cools me down, and that's the part that I caught on to, and I was like, well, no, Will, like y'all both got to be fired up out there. You can't have, but I guess him being the older player, like, hey, little bro, chill out.
Little bro, wait, you need that energy in the fourth quarter. Hold up
that
now.
type of thing, you know what I'm saying? So he's still at pit bull, just chomping at the bit. So now I understand it, man. But bro, it's been a great show, man, chopping it up with y'all. I thank y'all just for surviving through this thing, man, because bro, like we said, man, the Texans news, man, it gets real dry around this time. I remember last year, because this will be our second year doing the show. In the last year around this time, I still remember it like yesterday. May is just crazy. I'm telling you, May is crazy, bro. And this is where the strong survive. And we survived last year, and having good guests like Dr. Larry Payton on here is what allows us to survive these dry. The hike across these dry desert lands. As far as Texans news go, man, you help us, man, make it across there, and we appreciate you for that, my brother. Is it anything that y'all want to bring before we get ready to close out?
I know Larry's about to hit on something.
Bring us a little closeout music.
Yeah, I just have a hot take.
Okay.
We recognize that J.J. Watt is not only the second greatest player in Texans history. He might be the greatest player in Texans history. That's debatable with Andre
number one.
Then JJ all day, but Dre first.
I'm not gonna fight y'all on that. But defensively, Will Anderson has already surpassed Mario Williams in my mind.
Shoot. Yes, I
definitely. He is knocking on the door of J.D. Clowney. J.D. Clowney was a dominant player that had to be game planned for, and he got 2 All-Pros out of that. Now, people in Houston don't give him credit, but Clowney was a disruptor. He did not have the stats, but he was wrecking game. And Buell has already given us good stats in his first 2 years.
Yeah, most definitely. I believe right now, I know statistically or whatever, but I would be willing to say right now, Doc, that he surpassed him because of the injury that Clowney had. We didn't get a chance to see a full Clowney from his first year, and that's sad when you think about it, bro. Whenever I think we talk about that a lot, with me and my friends, sometimes I bring up the fact that, man, we had J.J. Watt and Clowney, and I remember that year I was out there at training camp. This was probably one of the first times I started going to training camp, and I was so hyped up for that season, man. And bro got hurt on the first play of the defensive play, the first time the defense was on the field. Yeah, and it's like he never was the same. And as good as he was, it was always a disappointment because he was never as good as he was supposed to be. If we would have had the Clowney that we were supposed to, man, ain't no telling what. We might have had a Super Bowl by now. But will you say this, and I'm going to end with this, Clowney, JJ, Hunter, Will Anderson, who you rather have?
It's JJ all day for me because JJ made sacks on third down in big time moments.
Yes.
Other players get sacks on first and second down, but JJ would always come through to close things out.
If you felt like me, Doc, I used to feel like JJ was the person. Like if I was looking at a Texans game and they were losing, i.e. the Bills playoff game that time we had Deshaun out there and we were losing and JJ had made that sack on third down, I remember standing up in my house telling everybody that was the time that we were about to take over that game. I said, JJ does this all the time, right when it's time, when we need it, when this ball's against the wall, pause. JJ always came through, bro. And yes, I concur with that, man. I'm talking about, what they say, Max Start Tuesdays. Hey, man, we definitely want to give a shout out to the draft guard, man. He wasn't able to make it on the show, man. We definitely will see him Friday, y'all. Make sure that you're here Friday. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Texans on 3, Texans on 3, Texans on 3, no matter where you at. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, X, however you call Twitter nowadays, just make sure you tap in. We will be here Friday, 7 o'clock. Doc might be back here with us. We got to see though, but the door is always welcome for you to come back, Doc, man. Like I said earlier, we appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Killer, man. This has definitely been fun, man. Definitely been fun. About to go grab me something to eat, man, and try to scrape up me some more Texans news for Friday coming up, man. Because you know, when you put on that hat with the light on the front of it, the hard hat, man, I'm about to put that mug on. I'm about to go into the trenches. I'm gonna find something. Hey, what that boy Patton say, balls against the wall. Hey, yo. Hey. But now, other than that, though, man, we appreciate y'all, man. Let's do the shout out, the bull ring shout out as we always do. Want to give a shout out to Texas Tangents. Want to give a shout out to Larry Payton in the that was on the show and actually in the bull ring. Got to give you props. Let's see, Brandon, most definitely. I think I said Texas Tangents, man. Appreciate you. And Patton, man. Hey, y'all, we trying to make it through this thing together. We will see y'all Friday, man. Hopefully something to be done happen. Maybe some Nick Chubb news. Maybe something. I don't know. But either way, though, man, this is the Texans on 3, man. We do this out of love, man, for the team. Y'all already know how it goes, man. It's Texans on 3. We out of here. We'll see y'all Friday, man.
Salute.